Why do you run away from intimacy? Freud explained, when you meet someone amazing, everything's going perfectly, and then suddenly you find yourself looking for reasons to run away. Or when someone gets too close and you unconsciously start sabotaging the relationship. Freud would say, you fear love not because of weakness, but because of trauma. And today I'm going to explain exactly why your mind does this to protect you, even when it's hurting you. Before we dive into this revelation about your own mind, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. If you want to understand why you do what you do, this is the place to be. Give this video a like if you've ever sabotaged a good relationship without understanding why, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Trust me, what we're about to discover might change how you see yourself forever. The invisible wall we build. Let's start with something everyone has experienced. You're dating someone, things are going great, and then they say those three magic words, I love you, and suddenly you feel like running to the hills. Or maybe it's when they want to meet your friends, or when they start talking about the future, or even when they just text you good morning every day. Something inside you screams danger. But here's the thing, this isn't about the other person. This is about an invisible wall your mind has built around your heart. And Freud discovered exactly why we do this. What Freud called defense mechanisms. Freud realized that our minds are like incredibly sophisticated security systems. Imagine your psyche as a house with the most advanced alarm system ever created. Every time someone gets too close to your emotional core, alarms start going off. Not because there's actual danger, but because your mind remembers when there was. These are what Freud called defense mechanisms, psychological strategies your unconscious mind uses to protect you from emotional pain. But here's the twist. These mechanisms were probably created when you were a child, and they're still running on old programming. Think about it like this. If you had a bad experience with a dog when you were 5, you might still feel nervous around dogs at 30. Your adult brain knows most dogs are friendly, but your alarm system is still running on that 5-year-old's fear. The same thing happens with intimacy. The 3 main ways we sabotage love. 1. Repression. But I don't need any one strategy. You know that person who always says they're too busy for relationships or focusing on their career. That's repression in action. Freud discovered that we push uncomfortable feelings so deep into our unconscious that we genuinely believe we don't want what we actually desperately need. Sarah, for example, works 80 hours a week and tells everyone she's married to her job. But every time she sees a couple holding hands, she feels a strange emptiness she can't explain. Her mind has repressed her desire for connection so deeply that she's convinced herself she doesn't want it. The truth, she's terrified of being vulnerable again. This is your mind's way of saying, if I don't want it, I can't be hurt by not having it. But repression is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. Eventually, it's going to pop up, usually at the worst possible moment. 2. Projection. They're the problem. Defense. Have you ever found yourself constantly criticizing your partner for things that, honestly, you do too? That's projection. It's when we take our own fears and insecurities and throw them onto someone else like we're playing emotional hot potato. Mark always accuses his girlfriends of being too clingy when they want to spend time with him. But the truth is, Mark is terrified of his own neediness. He's so afraid of being seen as desperate or clingy that he projects this fear onto his partners. Every time they show affection, he sees his own weakness reflected back at him, and he runs. Freud would say Mark isn't running from clingy women. He's running from his own desire to be loved and cared for. But it's easier to blame them than to face his own vulnerability. 3. Displacement. The wrong target game. This one's sneaky. Displacement is when you take your feelings about one person and redirect them onto someone else. Usually someone safer to be angry with or disappointed in. Jessica had a father who was emotionally distant and unavailable. Now, every time her boyfriend doesn't text back immediately, she doesn't just feel annoyed, she feels abandoned and furious. She's not really angry at her boyfriend for taking 2 hours to respond. She's angry at her father for a lifetime of emotional unavailability. But her boyfriend is a safer target than confronting that childhood pain. The Oedipal complex. Why we choose familiar pain. Now here's where it gets really interesting. And please stay with me because this might sound weird at first. Freud taught about something called the Oedipal complex, but forget everything you think you know about it. I'm going to explain it in a way that actually makes sense. The Oedipal complex isn't really about wanting to marry your parents. It's about how your early relationships with your caregivers become the template for all your future relationships. Your brain basically says, this is what love looks like, based on what you experienced as a child. If your parents were emotionally unavailable, your brain learns that love comes with distance. If they were unpredictable, your brain learns that love comes with chaos. If they were controlling, your brain learns that love comes with loss of freedom. So when you meet someone who's actually emotionally available, consistent, and respectful, your brain freaks out. It's like your phone trying to connect to a network it doesn't recognize. The connection might be stronger and more reliable, but your system doesn't know how to process it. This is why so many people find themselves attracted to partners who treat them poorly. It's not because they have low self-esteem. It's because their brain recognizes this pattern as love. The familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar happiness. Dreams. Your unconscious trying to heal. Freud called dreams the royal road to the unconscious, and nowhere is this more true than with intimacy issues. Your dreams are like your mind's private therapy session, trying to work through your relationship patterns when your conscious mind isn't interfering. Ever have that dream where you're trying to call someone you love, but your phone won't work? Or you're trying to get to them, but you keep getting lost? These dreams are your unconscious mind processing your fear of connection. Your psyche is literally showing you the barriers you've built. Or maybe you dream about being chased, and you keep running, but never look back to see who's chasing you. Often, what's chasing you isn't a monster. It's love, intimacy, or connection. Your mind has made these things feel so dangerous that even in dreams, you're running from them. The repetition compulsion, why we keep making the same mistakes. Here's one of Freud's most brilliant insights. We have an unconscious compulsion to repeat our traumas. I know it sounds crazy. Why would we want to repeat something that hurt us? But your mind isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to master the original trauma. Think of it like a video game. If you keep dying at the same level, you don't stop playing. You keep trying until you beat it. Your unconscious mind does the same thing with relationships. It keeps putting you in similar situations, hoping this time you'll get it right. This is why you might find yourself dating the same type of person over and over. Even when you consciously know it's not good for you, your unconscious is saying, maybe this time I can make the emotionally unavailable person love me. Maybe this time I can control the chaos. Maybe this time I can earn the love I didn't get as a child. But here's the thing, you can't heal old wounds with new people. You can only heal them by recognizing the pattern and choosing differently, the fear behind the fear. Let's get to the heart of it. Why do we really run from intimacy? Freud would say it's not actually about fear of love. It's about fear of loss. Deep down, we're terrified that if we let someone in completely, they'll leave, and we'll be devastated. Your mind does this calculation. If I don't let them all the way in, it won't hurt as much when they leave. It's like emotional insurance. But the problem is, by not letting them in, you're actually guaranteeing they'll leave. You're creating the very thing you're trying to avoid. This is what Freud called a neurotic paradox, when our solution becomes the problem. We're so busy protecting ourselves from potential pain that we create actual pain. The transference trap. Here's where it gets really complex. In every relationship, we unconsciously transfer feelings from our past onto our current partner. It's like we're constantly watching a movie, but we're projecting scenes from our childhood onto the screen. When your partner says they need space, you might hear your mother saying she's too busy for you when they don't text back immediately. You might feel your father's emotional distance when they disagree with you. You might feel your siblings' rejection. This is transference, and it happens automatically. Your partner isn't just themselves. They're also every important person who ever hurt you. No wonder intimacy feels so dangerous. Stop breaking the pattern. What Freud would say. So how do we break these patterns? Freud would say the first step is awareness. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Start paying attention to your patterns. When do you start pulling away? What triggers your defenses? Are you running from your partner, or from feelings they're stirring up that remind you of your past? The goal isn't to eliminate your defense mechanisms. They served a purpose once. The goal is to update them. Your 5-year-old self needed those defenses. Your adult self might not. The healing power of the unconscious. Here's the beautiful thing. Freud discovered the same unconscious mind that creates these patterns also has the power to heal them. Your dreams, your slips of the tongue, your irrational reactions, they're all trying to show you something. When you start paying attention to these unconscious messages, you begin to understand yourself at a deeper level. You start to see that your fear of intimacy isn't really about the person in front of you. It's about the child inside you who learned that love could be dangerous. The courage to be vulnerable. Freud believed that healing happens through relationship, not just with a therapist, but with anyone who can hold space for your authentic self. The very thing you're afraid of, being truly seen and known, is also the thing that can heal you. This doesn't mean you should ignore red flags or stay in harmful relationships. It means learning to distinguish between real danger and imagined danger. It means understanding that your past doesn't have to determine your future. Why this matters right now. In our digital age, it's easier than ever to avoid real intimacy. We can swipe left instead of working through conflict. We can ghost instead of having difficult conversations. We can stay surface level instead of going deep. But Freud would say that these modern escape routes are just new versions of old defense mechanisms. The fundamental human need for connection hasn't changed, and neither has our tendency to sabotage it when we're afraid. The path forward. Understanding why you run from intimacy is the first step toward running toward it instead. It's about recognizing that your fear is not a character flaw. It's a survival mechanism that once served you well, but may now be holding you back. The person who can stay present when love gets scary, who can recognize their patterns without being controlled by them, who can distinguish between past and present, that person has access to the kind of deep, authentic connection that most people only dream about. So what do you think? Does this help explain why you might sabotage good relationships or run from intimacy? If this video helped you understand something about yourself, smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell so you don't miss our deep dives into the mysteries of your own mind. And now I want to hear from you. What's your pattern when it comes to intimacy? Do you run when things get serious? Do you sabotage relationships without meaning to? Are you the person who always finds something wrong with every partner? Share your story in the comments below. I read every single one and respond to as many as I can. Remember, understanding your patterns is the first step to changing them. If you found this helpful, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes the people we love most are the ones running from love themselves. And maybe this will help them understand why. See you in the next video, where we'll explore more of what Freud can teach us about being human in all its beautiful, complicated glory.